Welcome back to the shop today, guys. Let's get something done today. All right, where we left off, we pulled the transmission, we got the converter out because we are going to be swapping converters. I got them both sitting here. This is the one we're going in. This is the one that came out. 3000 stall, 3500 stall. The reason I'm going down is because this one is tighter. I'm going to see if that helps me out a little bit because I think I'm blowing through that converter a little bit. But I do want to buy a new converter yet, but I need to figure out which direction I need to go. But for today's video, we're going to try getting our manual brakes done. And where we left off with that is we got our master cylinder and booster pulled out of the car. That is sitting right here. So I need a plate to mount this guy. I'm going to cut this little doohickey off to make my beep beep, the rod that pushes into the new master cylinder, which is right here. Buddy of mine gave this to me. I really appreciate that. It didn't work for his application, so he gave it to me, so I'm pretty pumped. He had disc brakes on the back. I'm still rocking drum brakes because I'm old school like that, and I can't afford a disc brake conversion. So we're going to throw those on. Yeah, so let's start making that plate. My plan for that is I'm going to try getting this gasket off, this little gasket here, without damaging it, which, let's be real, that won't happen. But I'm going to pull this off, or try to, and then use this as a template, cut out a piece of steel. Piece of steel will then bolt right here, where the old one was, and then I'm going to have to cut a hole. And I'm just going off of pictures I've seen online. I've never done this before, actually. And because this master cylinder was with a kit, it came with the plate and the gasket and everything kind of pre-done for them. I don't have that because they used that for theirs. So I have to make that. And I'll kind of explain more as I go. But I'm just going off of pictures of what I've seen in that kit of what I might need here. So let's get started. I'm going to pull that gasket off and see if I can make a plate. We'll see how far we get. So a guy got that gasket off, and I seem to have made a mistake, or I assumed something I shouldn't have. I was under the impression that master cylinders, manual master cylinders from an S10 to a G body were the same. The one where I got this was for an S10. I pulled that gasket off of my the booster, and they're not the same. I don't know if I can line this up real well, but they are not the same. Checked it up against the firewall as well. Bolt holes are not matching up. That's okay. I'm just going to make my own plate that will use the bottom or top. I think I'm going to mount this master cylinder towards the top of the hole in the engine bay. That for the pedal ratio. If I would use a stock location, I don't know if I would have enough leverage to produce what I need. So I'm going to move it up. So that means I'll have to re-drill a hole on my brake pedal as well. That's going to kind of suck because that means I'll probably have to take that brake pedal out and or try to drill it in the car. And I've seen guys try to do that in the car before. Does not look fun, especially because I have a full dash in my car. Not a full dash, it's empty, but I have the dash still in the car. So we'll see how far that goes. But so I'm going to make a plate that matches this outside ring. Top two holes will match this one, and I'll have to re-drill my firewall. Bottom holes will match this one, which will match the firewall, so I can just put those back in. And we'll start there. Okay, so I went diving for some scrap metal. I found this plate here. Looks like I was trying to make something out of this at one point. I don't know what, but those holes look fairly nicely accurate. Didn't think I could drill that straight, but this is about, I don't know what thickness that is. Thick enough. It's pretty hefty stuff. I had some stainless here that I wanted to use, but it was just a little too flimsy. Last thing I want is to push that pedal and have that thing just you know, pop out of the car. So I grabbed this, a little heavier. I'll have to paint this though, because this is just raw steel. Took some sandpaper, cleaned up some of the surface rust, spray cleaned it so I had something clean to trace on. I'm going to take this guy, and I am going to cut this out. I'm going to trace it and cut it. There will be a hole in there, but that is a sacrifice that I am willing to make. Just because I don't have any other material that I can find easily in my scrap pile thick enough. So I'm just going to deal with that hole, and hopefully nobody sees it. Yeah, so I'm going to trace this, and then I'm going to cut it out, and we'll see if that works. All right, so we got that drilled. This is what we got so far. And I checked it on the car already, and that matches up perfect with the opening in the firewall. And we got a little bit of clearance around here, which is not a big deal. So I'm going to kind of just, I might try bolting this in the car with the lower ones. I don't know. I got to somehow make sure that this is straight this way compared to the master cylinder. And that way it stays all straight and fancy and dancy. I guess I could try it like this too, except it won't stay there. I might just guesstimate. I mean, I've been pretty lucky so far. What could go wrong? So anyways, I'm going to see if I can come up with a way to jig this up and hold it straight while I mark some holes. We'll drill the holes for the master cylinder. And then I might try to just do a mock-up and mount it in the car. Now this might be a little difficult because I don't know how I'm going to get my hand under the dash and in the engine bay all at the same time. So what I might do is I might put some bolts through here, and I might tack weld them onto this plate. Like I might tack weld the bolts going through, and then I just have to put nuts on the backside. That might be a pretty nice idea, because it's kind of the same thing that this has, right? It's got studs on here, and then you can unbolt it from the inside. So I might do that to this too. That way I can actually do this myself. For the regulations where I live, I can't have anybody come and help me anyways. So yeah, I might just do that. Might be easier later if I have to take this thing off too, then I don't have to sit there and try to reach around the whole thing. That's what I'll do. So I'm going to drill those other holes for the master cylinder, and then I'm going to see if I can mount that plate in the car. Scratch that. I won't weld the bolts on because I can't weld them on the top two bolt holes because I have to go through my master cylinder. So scratch that idea. I might still weld the bottom ones on. We'll see. I mean, if I have to do all four, it really doesn't matter. Either way, I have to figure out a way to hold them down and tighten them. So I'll play with that as we go, but I can't weld them on. So I'm just going to drill my holes, and I'll see if I can get the thing mounted up in the car. So I guess I was a little wrong. I think those holes are supposed to match from the S10 to the G-body. From the gasket, it didn't look like it was going to be close. But on here, it's almost dang straight. I just had to take a file and just do a couple of rough strokes. Just push them this way. Took like 5 or 10 strokes each side. Now she fits fine. So it wasn't that far off. I guess the benefit is that these holes on the master cylinder are for a 5/16. 5/16 or is it 1/4 inch? I think it's 5/16 bolt when the original one was 3/8. So I do have the room. So now with that clearing, I'll drill the final holes in the plate and we'll get that mounted up. Okay, so I got those holes drilled, got the plate sitting up here, looking pretty sharp if you don't ask me, but it'll sit flat up there like that. I just got this kind of dangling here just so I can see how it's gonna work. That frees up all sorts of room down here. I might actually be able to get at the back spark plug half decent now. So now that I got that in, what's my next step here? I guess I gotta work on my linkage. And guys, I got pretty lucky. I'm wondering if the G-bodies were kind of set up for manual brakes option, although I don't remember ever seeing a G-body with factory manual brakes. But I think that's why that avocado-shaped hole was there. The booster was on the bottom, and that lines up perfectly with the stud that mounts the shifter or the push rod. And then I was looking around and I thought I had to take the brake pedal out. Well, it turns out there's a hole up there already that lines up smack dab in the middle of where I just drilled. So I think that was an option, I guess. It would make sense if it was. So all I need to do is come up with an arm that fits through there. And I already got a hole drilled in the brake pedal. So step ahead. That's pretty awesome. Then I don't have to take that all apart. So I'm going to take the master cylinder off, see what I can use for push rod. All right, guys, new day. I'm back at the manual brakes here. Trying to figure out what I'm going to use for a push rod on the manual brakes, on the master cylinder. And I don't have any good shaft kicking around. So what I found here is just a 3/8 bolt. And I checked it in here, and she lines up real good. And she's a nice snug fit. Obviously, I'm not going to put the threads down. But I'm thinking of cutting this guy down, using the threads as an adjuster. And then I'll just take some of my bench grinder and put a ball end on it, and it'll slide right in there. Then I can adjust it by turning the bolt in and out. Makes sense, right? But so that's what I'm going to try. I just got to figure out what I'm going to thread this into. I looked online at the kit, and that actually came with like a block of steel. Looked like steel, might be aluminum, but I'm going to use steel. That just little, I don't know, 2-inch by 1-inch square with a hole in it from where this thing pivoted. So it acted like this guy. And then I'm going to put a hole in the end of that thing and thread it for this bolt. Simple enough, right? Why not? Let's give it a whirl. I'll see what I can do. All right, so we got the doohickey made. I think it's going to turn out pretty good. So this part here will be bolted to the side of the brake pedal, and I'll round off the end of this guy, and I'll cut it down wherever it needs to be. But I'll need to mock up that master cylinder back of the car again to do that. One thing I did overlook was that the kits that you purchase have a cup on the back of that plate that we made. Let me see if I can show you here. This plate that goes in the firewall, like so. On the back side, they have a cup. That's something comes off there like that. Now, obviously not that tall, but just for perspective, there'd be a cup here. And from what I've gathered is they do that to keep the brake pedal, to keep the push rod from falling out. Yeah, from falling out. So if your pedal all of a sudden backtracks too far and your push rod comes out, well, then you got no brakes. So I might do something like that too. And then I might just tack weld a little washer on here as well. And you'd put this through the cup first. That way there's no way this thing can disappear on you and lose brakes. My brakes are already pretty crappy in this thing. The last thing I need is to not have them at all. So I'm going to do that as well. We'll keep going here. All right, day 3. Let me fix my camera here. Day 3 working on this thing. Taking me way too long, like every other project that I start. But I put that little push rod we made into the car. And I got it kind of sitting right here. And it sits pretty centered. It should work fairly well. And this goes in and out with the brake pedal. So now I got to find out how much I'm going to cut off this thing. So I think what I'm going to do, see if I can do this one-handed. I'm going to take this guy, kind of bottom it out here. See if we can get a better angle here. Bottom this out on the shaft. I'm going to make a mark on the bolt that we cut down. And then once we cut that down, I'm going to make a mark so I know how deep it needs to be. And then I might measure a little bit between what I need to cut down from the flange of the master cylinder to the firewall. And that'll tell me how much I need to cut off of that bolt. Once we have that, I'll figure out what we're going to do for that cup. I think that pipe that I was using to kind of just show you guys, I might just cut a piece off of this and weld it on there. This is not stainless, this is, so those will look ugly. But hey, use what you got. So, yeah, I'm going to cut that bolt down, and we'll see if we can get this master cylinder bolted up. Okay, so I cut the rod down, and I just put a little ball end on the end of it here. I don't know if you can really see that. All I did for that is I just chucked it in my drill, fired it on my bench grinder, which is still slowing down. It takes like an hour and a half for that thing to slow down. So I'm going to put this back in, and we'll see how close we are. So I kind of nailed it, actually. Worked very well. So this is what it looks like now. This is the rod sticking out of there. There's actually not much sticking out. Maybe half an inch of rod, a little under half an inch of rod sticking out past the firewall. But this guy goes flat up against there now without putting any compression onto the cylinder. And actually, I think I went a little too far, actually, because once I put the plate on, I am going to lose this thickness of space. But that is why we have use the bolt. It's threaded. We have an adjuster, so let's back that thing up into it. Now, I was going to build a cup and a little retaining snap ring to hold that thing in, but I don't think that's actually necessary because my pedal has the brake switch on the front of the pedal, so it's a release switch like for the brake lights. So when you push on a pedal, it releases a switch. That's what operates the brake lights. And so it's actually a stop right now. There's a little bracket there. The brakes can't go any further back. So I'm just gonna make sure that that's maxed out, and I'm maxed out into the master cylinder, and there's actually no way, unless something rattles loose, that I will lose brakes or that rod will come out. So I'm going to risk the biscuit for that. We'll see how far that gets me. I'll keep an eye on it for the first little while, see if anything's coming loose or needs adjusting. But that should be just fine. So I'm going to get this thing bolted in. Let's do it. Well, guys, it looks pretty sharp. I think I succeeded. There she is. I got the plate on there, got the master cylinder on there, and she ain't going nowhere. Adjustment worked out really well with the push rod underneath the dash. That worked really well. I do need to pick up some hardware, though. I'm going to need to lengthen this one brake line to here. I mean, I could move all of the line lock and everything onto the firewall, which is what I should do. But I don't want to waste all this time on that. I really don't need to move it out of the way. And by the time I pull the lines off of the metering block, or whatever you want to call it, down on the frame, there's like a proportioning valve for your brakes. I don't exactly know what it's called. But by the time I get the lines broken 5 times off of that thing and rerun lines, I'm going to be sitting here for another week. So I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to, I think I have some brake line kicking around somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. Put that in there. But other than that, guys, all I need to do is bleed the brakes and away I go. It worked out really, really well. I mean, I got the master cylinder for free. I should probably pay my buddy for that. Because, yeah, those things aren't necessarily cheap. They are cheap. They are cheap. You can get them for around like $100 Canadian, 120 bucks Canadian, something like that. But that's a lot of money to guys like me. You know, man's got to eat. But maybe I'll pay him for that. And then other than that, I didn't pay for a single thing. Everything was just scrap metal and time. Now, if your time's worth nothing like mine, it doesn't bother you. But anywho, I'm going to call it there, guys. Thanks for coming along with me. I now have manual brakes in my race car. I'll let you know how they go. If there's any issues along the way, I'll keep you posted. Racing in my area is still postponed. I was going to race June 5th was my first race. And they are now canceling it due to COVID restrictions. So this weekend is usually opening weekend for a lot of tracks in our area. But nothing we can do about that. It's sad. It sucks. Guys put a lot more money into their cars than I do, and they can't use them. So it hurts, but we ought to stick together and get through it. Anyway, guys, thanks for subscribing. I am over 130 subscribers as of right now. I appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you so much. So now I'm shooting for 200 this year. I'd love to see that. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up. If you didn't, leave a thumbs down. But let me know why you did, because I want to change. I want to change to make you guys enjoy watching. I don't want to sit here and waste your time more than I already do. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe, like. We'll see you on the next one.